Hi guys, it's Casey and I'm back with another Java tutorial. So I'm going to assume that you watched the previous video, and if you haven't watched it yet, just go to the description, you'll find a link to follow in order for you to watch the video. Yes. So I'm just going to create a new Java application project. I'm going to name this second Java. Then I'm going to click finish. Today I'll be introducing you guys to methods and if statements. So let me clean this code first so that everyone can see clear, because I know that when you are new these things can get confusing. So I'll advise you that when you write your code, just clean your code first if you are a beginner, so that you don't get lost inside your code. Yeah. So today I'll be introducing you to methods first, then if statements, because they are longer. In Java, when we create methods, okay, I think in any other programming language, you have to make sure that your method is out of any other method but inside a class, because you can't create a method inside a method. Yeah. So since this is our main method and it's a method, I'm going to get outside of it, then go public static void. I'm sorry guys about the noise. I live in a noisy place, so I just hope you bear with me till I find a better place. So I assume that you know what public and static means. Public means that we can use this method inside any class of this project. The static means we are able to use our static method inside of our main method, because our main method is static, and because of that we cannot change it, so this has to be static. And this word void here means empty, so it means that this method is not going to return anything. So now we'll have to name our method. Let's name this one decision, then open brackets and close brackets to show that this is a method, then open and close your curly brackets. And then this is how you create a method in Java. In other programming languages they are called functions, but you can call them whatever you want: methods, functions, or any other word that's relevant. Yeah. So in order for you to create an if statement, you have to use the keyword if, and then open brackets. This is where you'll be passing your condition, and then open and close your curly brackets. So let me show you this. In Java, when we comment it, in order to create a single line comment, we use two backslashes. Then you can write whatever you want to write, and your interpreter or your compiler will not read what you just commented. It is only going to read the statements, functions, and etc. So this is a single line comment, and to create a double line comment, you just forward slash, then put a star, then another star, then forward slash. Then you can write in between the stars whatever you want to write, multiple lines. Yeah. So I'll be first intro. So first, let me show you our conditions in if statements. So we have the first one, which is less than. We use the same as mathematics. We use the same operations as mathematics. So this means less than. And then this means greater than, and then we have another one which is equals to. We don't use a single equal sign because a single equal sign, it is called an assignment operator, so we use double equal signs when we want to say equals to in Java. Yep. And then I want to show you something else too. Equals to, and we have another one which is not. So when you put not first and put another sign before it, this means not less than, not greater than, or not equal to. And not equal to, but not equal to, use a single equal sign. Yeah, so this is our condition operators. So now let me show you another ones. There is double, double end signs, which means end. And then we have another one which is or. I will show you how to use all of them in a short while. Yeah, so let's start here. So let's start at the beginning. In order for you to create an if statement, you have to use the keyword if, then open your brackets where you're going to pass a condition, then open your curly brackets, which is where you're going to tell the program what to do if the condition in here is true. So this will execute whatever you're going to put in here as long as this is true, but if it's false, it's going to go to another line, or if you have an else statement, it's going to execute that. I'll show you. So let's start here. If 1 is less than 4, then we want this to print out hello. So let's say system dot out dot print line. If, and then create and close brackets, then since we're going to type something, we have to use quotation marks. So we want here to print that if statement is true, then let's say if statement is true, yes. And then so if we run this, we are supposed to get this if statement is true, because 1 is less than 4. But even if we run this now, we won't see anything because uh, 1 is less than 4, our condition is fine, but we forgot to call our method. The reason we have to call our method is because when you run your program, it first executes your main method, and then it if you didn't call any other method after the lines that you're executing on your main method or whatever, then it will stop after this main method. But in order for it to go to another method, we have to call it. So when we call a method, we write the method's name, decision, and then we open and close brackets to show that it's a method. Then we terminate because this is a statement. So here we didn't terminate because we can't call this a statement. We can say this is a condition because this is what controls the if statement. So now if we run this, we are supposed to get if statement is true. Then I just ran the project, then we're about to see the output, and then our output is here. If statement is true. See, so we told our program that if the condition is true, we should get if statement is true. Thank you. And then now I want to show you what if this condition is wrong. then let's say 0 here. Let's make this condition false and put on 0 here, because we know that 1 is not less than 4, 1 is greater than 4. So if we run this, we are not going to get any output, because this condition is false and the statement won't be executed. You see, we didn't get any output because this statement was not executed, because this condition here was false. So in order to get something, even if the condition is false, we can use the keyword else. But in order to use else, you have to create it after the curly brackets of the if statement. So we're going to say else, then open and close curly brackets, then tell it what to do inside the else brackets. So we can say, well, I'm going to cut and copy this to save time again. So we can copy and cut and copy this, so Control C, and then we're going to come here, Control V, and then system.out.println if statement is true. But in this case the if statement is false, so we're going to say if statement is false. So this is going to print out this statement is false, because is going to print if statement is false because our condition here is false, it's not true. So if we run this, we are supposed to get if statement is false. You will see this soon. You see, if statement is false. I know I told you that I'm going to make this computer faster for future tutorials, but I didn't have enough time, I'm sorry. So you'll have to bear with me, but I promise to do it next time. So now I'm going to show you an else if statement. So to create an else if statement, it's more like an if statement. So I'm going to quickly do this, and then an else if statement, it is like an if statement. So we say if, then open and close bracket, so we're going to pass our condition, open and close curly brackets, then pass our condition here. Let's say 1 is greater than 0. We made our condition true, and then you can say here, when that is true, then Control V, I just pasted what I just copied the last time. Then we're going to say if statement is true, then we can say else if, then open your condition brackets, then open and close your curly brackets, and then pass a condition here. So we're going to say 54, no, that's too much. You can say 6 is greater than 2. Then now both our conditions are true, so let's tell it what to do. Then we're going to say Control V, then come here and say else if is true, else if is true, if statement is true. And then, so since both these conditions are true, I assume we're going to get both we're going to get both these statements here. So let me run this project quickly and show you. You see, now our if statement is true. Oh, if statement is true. So because both the conditions were true, and then because of their first condition was true, it didn't care about the second condition, it only cared about the first condition, because this is a whole structure. So let's make this one false and show you something. So instead of greater than, let's use less than, and then let's run this code, and now we are supposed to get else if statement is true. You see, else if statement is true right here. This is where we require our output, else if statement is true. So in other, so What if both these conditions are false? That would be foul, but still we can still use an else statement. An else statement is more like a default. You tell the program what to do if both if 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 a condition was not met. That's how you tell a program what to do using an if statement. I'm sorry about the sound, my mic fell off, so I'm trying to put it on. Yeah, I'm back again. Then we're going to use an else statement. Then let's tell it here to say, then control V, what I just copied, remember. Then let's say none of the statements were true. So yep, none of the statements were true. So if we run this code now, we're supposed to get none of the statements were true as our output. Then if we run this, we're supposed to get none of the statements were true. You see our output here, none of the statements were true. Then I showed you how we use these signs, except they're not equal to, but I think that you had a hang of it. But let's make sure. Then let's say a is 1 is not equal to 0. So since 1 is not equal to 0, the statement is going to get executed. So let's run this code and see. We are supposed to get if statement is true. That's our answer, because 1 is not equal to 0. I told you about the noise, I'll have to deal with this quick. If statement is true, that's our output, because our if statement is true. Yes, so this is how we use functions. So let me show you how we use these ones. So in order to use these ones, let me start with the end sign. So let me write it first and I'll explain it. And let's say 2 is not greater than 1. So we got an oh, sorry guys, sorry, I lied to you. You can't say not less than or not greater than. We can only say not equal to. So these two are false. Sorry guys, I made a mistake. It's been a long day and I'm tired. Oh. So we can say, so here what I just did, I just said 1 is not equal to 0 and 2 is greater than 1. What I was doing here, it simply means that I just explained that. Now let me explain how this works. So this means that both these conditions have to be true in order for this statement to be executed. So since both of them are true, the statement is going our output should be if statement is true. So if I run this, our output is going to be if statement is true. So as you can see, if statement is true. So yeah, let me show you the OR operator. So let me make this one false here. Let's say 0. So 2 is not greater than 0. So let me use the OR here. We can say OR. Is the statement true? No, 6 is not less than 2, so let me put a true statement here. Let's say 3 is greater than 0. Yep. So the OR statement, this OR statement simply means that only one of these conditions have to be met. So since this condition here is false, but this other one here is true, then our output is going to be if else statement is true. Then if I run this code, our output should be else if statement is true. So you can see if statement is true. I think I forgot to make the if statement false here. I forgot to make 2 is greater than 0. So let's say 2 is greater than 9, which is false. Then our else if statement is going to be executed because it is the only true one. See, else if statement is true because only one of these were met, but if both of them were false, then our else statement is the one that's going to get executed. So none of the statements were true. So now let me show you how we nest an if statement. So let's get rid of this. When you nest an if statement, you just have to create another one. Let's say, okay, let me clear this. And then when you nest an if statement, it's like creating an if statement inside an if statement. So we use the keyword if, our condition brackets, then your curly brackets, then you're going to say let's say 24 is less than 45, and then let's tell the program what to do if the condition is met. Control V, then we're going to say if statement is true because this is an if statement, but we won't get anything because our main if here, our top if, is going to give us false because the first condition is true but the second condition is false. So let me run this and show you we are not supposed to get an output. Now you see we didn't get an output because one of the conditions was false, but let's say 10 is greater than 9, then now we should get if statement is true because the main if statement is true. Is our output is if statement is true because our main if statement is true and our second if statement is true. But if, let's make this false, 24 is less than 5, which is false, then now we are not supposed to get any output. You see, we couldn't get any output because this if statement was true but this one was false. Let me paste this here so that you can see that it couldn't get here but it did get inside the if statement. So now we're supposed to get let me change this first. Let me wait, let's say if 1, let's say first if main if statement is true, then our output should be main if statement is true because the main if statement is true but the nested one is false. You see, main statement is true, so let's make both of them true and then we're supposed to get both the statement. Main if is true and if statement is true, so we got both the statements here. Nice. So we can simply nest an else statement the way that you nest an if statement. So let me show you here. Let's say you can't nest an else if statement. Let me write it and then you'll see that we are going to get an error. Then let me quickly pass a condition here. And then let me try to nest it. Apologies in advance. You see, this gave me an error because I was trying to nest an else if statement. So our else if won't get executed because we're trying to nest an else if statement. So you can only nest if statements. You can nest them as much as you want. Let me show you here. We can create another if statement here. If 0, oh sorry about that, if 0, oh, if 0, what, oh, I think there's something wrong with my keypad. Then let's say 0, then if 0 is greater than 6, do this. You see, I didn't get any error, but you can still nest an if statement inside a nested if. So you can have a bunch of if statements that does the same thing. No, that does different things, but don't forget that in order to get inside a nested if statement, the main one has to be true. So in order for us to get an output here, this if statement has to be true and this other if statement has to be true in order for this line to get executed. So we have two conditions that must be true. Let me show you. So so if I run this, let me check first. 1 is not equal to 0, 10 is equal to 10 true, then this other one is true, 24 is less than 53, then 0 is greater than 6, so this is false, so we won't get inside our nested if. So let's say second main, second if statement is true. Then if we run this, we won't get this statement because this condition here is not true. Then you see we got our main if and our second if. So let's make this true. 9 is greater than 10. Oh, 9 is greater than 10. No, 9 is not greater than 10. 9 is greater than 0. We have to fix this here. Let's say 10 is greater than 6. Now we're supposed to get all these three statements. Let's wait for it. Now we got all the three statements. Yeah, so this is how we create a method, and this is how we create an if statement. And you can still make your if statement to call another method if you wanted to. So let's delete this and call a method in here. Let's call a method that we're about to create called, and then call it here, even if the method doesn't yet exist. That's why you have an error. So let me check which one goes with this, because okay, it's this one, then which means this one is the one that goes with the method. So I'm going to create another method, public, to use it in any class, static, to use it in our main method. For it won't return anything, let's say called, then open our brackets to prove that it's a method, then our curly brackets. Then we want this method to produce this, or to output this. So if this condition is true, and this condition is true, and this condition is true, then this method will be called, because we called it in our if statement. So let me check. 9 is greater than 0, 10 is greater than 6, then yeah, we're supposed to get all three statements, because all the statements are true until the statement that calls the method. So we got all three statements again. So let me make this one false, then we're going to get only two statements. So yep, now we got two statements because only two were true, and which means this one and this one were true. So the method was not called because this statement was false. Yeah, so this is how we create methods and if statements in Java. So this is the end of this tutorial. If you are new to this channel, then please subscribe, like this video, and share with anyone that you can. Watch out for another video that I'm about to drop, and I'll be introducing you to loops in the next tutorial. Thank you.